I also introduced us to some parts of HTML and CSS. All I did was the definition of what HTML is, what a markup language is, different markup languages we have, and then CSS. So today I'll be going further on that, dive deeper today. So HTML consists of a series of elements that tell the browser how to display the content. An HTML element is defined by a start tag, some content, and end tag. So what they are trying to say is in an HTML environment or in an HTML structure, we have something called elements. We have something called elements, and elements are made up of tags, and the tags have the opening, which is this what you can see on this left-hand side, and we have the closing tag, what you can see on this right-hand side, which inside of it, you have the tag name, a forward slash, and also the tag name. Now, you might ask, what is a tag? A tag is simply an indicator that helps us to display the content or tells us what type of content we have. I'll repeat that a tag is simply an indicator that tells us about the content we have on our web page or the content that makes up a particular element. So here's an example of what you have. All these are tags. Then there's something called the HTML boilerplate. The HTML boilerplate. This simply refers to as the HTML page structure. The HTML page structure. So in this page HTML structure, we have something called doctype.html. What this doctype does is to tell the browser the version of HTML that we are using, or the markup language that we are using at that particular time. HTML has different versions. I think the earliest version was HTML 1.0, then it moved to 2.0, there was 3.0, there was 4.0, and now what we're using is HTML5. And in this course, that's what we're going to be making use of, HTML5. So that's the version of HTML we're using. Then we have the HTML tag, which is more like so we have the HTML tag, which is the parent tag. The HTML tag, which is the parent tag. Now, inside the HTML tag, we have two other children elements, which is the head and the body, which is the head. You can see the head has an opening and a closing. The head starts here and stops here. Starts here and stops here. Hope you can see that.
Yes.
Oh, I think it's a full house now. Good morning, all. Good morning, Innocence.
Good morning, sir.
Danny. Good morning, Teslim. You guys were a bit late today, but it's all good.
Sincere apologies.
It's all good. I'm sure you'll catch up. So, for those who are just coming, I started by going back to what we did yesterday, and we explained a bit about the HTML tags. And we said HTML consists of a series of elements that tell the browser how to display the content. Then an HTML element is defined by a start tag, some content, and an end tag. So an element consists of three things. An element in HTML consists of three things. The opening tag, which is this. You know, if we want to write an opening tag, we use the less than and greater than sign with the tag name. Then again, the less than and greater than sign with the tag name, but preceded by the tag name preceded by a forward slash. Then we have the content. So all this here makes up an element. So we have the tag and the content. That is the opening tag, the content, and the closing tag to make up an HTML element. And you will ask, what is a tag? A tag is simply an indicator that tells us about the content in the element, or tells us the type of content that the element is made up of. I'll repeat that. A tag is simply an indicator that tells us about the content that the element carries. So I'm going to talk about different type of tags later in the course. So now we have the HTML boilerplate, or the HTML page structure. Before you start writing your HTML syntax, before you start coding or doing anything that has to do with front end, as far as HTML is concerned, first you have to create the HTML page structure. You have to create the HTML page structure. So the first thing we have here is called the doc type HTML. And I said this doc type tells us about it tells the browser about the version of HTML that is being used, about the version of HTML that is being used. And I said we have different versions of HTML. The earliest version was HTML 1.0, then it moved to 2.0, 3.0, and now we are in 5.0, and we are using HTML5 now. That's what we're going to be using in this course. So after that has been declared, we have our parent element, which is the HTML itself. Our parent, so this one tells us about the root document and HTML document. So we have the HTML tag opening here and closing here, which carries every other thing inside of it. So it's the parent tag. Then we have the head. We have the head. So the head is also I'll refer to it as a child element inside the parent element called HTML. It's a child element. So we have the head. Then inside the head, now the head carries everything that controls this page. The head carries everything that controls this page. So we have the head, we have the body, like the human body. The head has the brain inside that controls more or less everything. If the brain is not working, the whole body shuts down. Basically, the brain is not working, the sense organs don't work. So for this page to work properly, then the head should contain some things. This head, which is the child element, should contain something. So we have to open the head tag. We have the head tag open, then we have the head tag closed. Now, in this head tag, we have some other tags. We have the meta tag. So we have two meta tags here, and we have the title. We have two meta tags here, and we have the title. Now, in HTML, there's something called an attribute. There's something called an attribute. I'll go back to the first slide so that I can explain this. Now, what you have here is an attribute. What you have here is an attribute. Now, an attribute is normally displayed in the opening tag of an element. Always displayed in the opening tag. So attribute comes with some materials. We call this name and value, or you can say attribute and value. So this is the attribute name, and this is the value. It's always written like this. The attribute equals to sign, quotation, then the value. Now, what does the attribute do? The attribute alters the characteristics or property of an element or the content. I'll repeat that. The attribute alters or determines the characteristics or property of the content. As we move forward, I won't want to say too much stories on that, but as we move forward, you see how it's being used. Because I said this thing is much more practical than it is theoretical. So as we move forward, I explain it. So yeah, we have in this HTML tag, we have an attribute called lang. Lang. This lang means language. This lang means language. So here we are telling HTML with the use of this lang attributes We're telling HTML about the language in which our content should be encoded in. I'll repeat that. This lang attribute tells the browser about the language, the human understandable language in which our content will be encoded in. So this EN stands for English. EN stands for English. Other languages might have their own abbreviation. If it's French, if it's Arabic, if it's Italian or Espanol, it's going to have its own abbreviation. But this EN here stands for English. That's for this attribute. Then inside this meta tag, now we have the character sets. The character set. This one is the UTF-8. I think this is by default. This is character set that the browser supports UTF-8. There are other character sets that you can use, but this is the most common one that is supported by virtually all browsers. Then we have this meta tag name, viewport, content. So this one is just for responsiveness. This one is for responsiveness. There are several meta tags you can use, but at least basically those are the ones that you need. Then this title gives the web page a title. You're going to see how that will be used later. And this body is where all the contents, this body is where all the content will be displayed. The body is where all the content will be displayed. You want to display a text, we are going to do it in this body. You want to display an image, video, other web pages, you're going to do that inside this body. So I think it's time for us to get our hands dirty with our VS Code. So you're going to be writing your first line of codes today in this class. So let me share the screen for that. Okay. Okay, hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So now this is your VS Code. Now, for you to use this VS Code, you must have created a folder that is going to hold all your project files. That's got all your folders that will hold your project files. So I think I've created mine on my desktop. So I would like each and every one of you to go to your desktop, create a folder. Go to your desktop, create a folder. You can name the folder front-end project or whatever you want to name it. Then, if you've done that already, you click on Open Folder.
Sorry. Yeah, is this on Slack or our normal?
No, on your normal VS Code. On your normal VS Code, not on Slack, please.
Okay.
Yes, on your normal
Yes.
VS Code. The reason why we are using Slack is maybe if you have an issue with your code, you can just screenshot and send to Slack.
Okay. VS Code.
So,
Sorry, it may seem as if I'm taking us backward. This VS Code, it's a software, right? That we're meant to install on our PC.
Yes, yes. It's an IDE. You know, we talked about IDE yesterday.
Yeah,
This
IDE, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And it's okay. It's not, is it online? Like, is it something that runs online, like on your browser, or it's
You
installed?
don't have to be on. You don't have to be online to use it.
Okay.
You don't have to be online to use it.
Okay, I've not done that. I have to do that ASAP. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Anyone else with any problem? Can I move on?
Sure.
All right. So So I'm going to click on my desktop. If you have the folder on your document, you can click on your document. If you have it in your, wherever you have it, try and locate that place. But I have mine on my desktop, so I'm going to click on desktop, and I have this called class. I'll open this folder, then I'll just select folder. Okay, so don't bother about all this. You are not here yet. I was doing something yesterday, so uh, now when working with this, you have to create uh, a page that you want to work on. So if you are here already, you're going to see these icons. Now, this is for new file. If you want to create a new file for which you're going to write codes on, this is to create a new folder. Maybe you want to create a folder where you want to store other things, maybe like images, videos, and all that. You can open this folder, but for now, we're not doing that. This is to refresh. This is to collapse this part of the page. But for now, all we want to do is just create a new file. So we just click on this. So now I can name my file anything. But mind you, remember that when you're working with any software or any application, every application has its file extension. If you're working with Microsoft Word, I think it's .docx. If it's a PowerPoint, it's .ppt or pptx. In this case, we are working with HTML. So whatever we name our file, we have the extension .html, or in some cases .htm. But the most common way is .html. So I can say first class. I say first CLS dot HTML. Then I just click on enter. Okay, someone is asking for the spelling of the name of the software. Is VSCODE, VS Code, VSCODE. If that's fine by you, VSCODE, VS Code. So now I want to replicate all some of the things we've talked about. So basically, some people might want to write all those things from the scratch, but VS Code has helped us with some kind of code assistance, whereby you don't need to do some things from the scratch. So to make it, because we have basically much more complicated things to do. So you to create the boilerplate or the structure, instead of typing it from the scratch, you can just come here and say HT okay, before completing the HTML, you can see we have HTML dot 5. If you are using just the ordinary HTML, we will use this. If you are using HTML and XML, like XHTML would have used this, but now we are using HTML5. We are using HTML5. So all we need to do is just click on this, and you can see I have my boilerplate. Just easy like that. I don't have to start coding it from the scratch. But I would advise that you kind of memorize this in a way, just for the sake of interview. You don't know where you might find yourself. It might just tell you, okay, describe what the HTML boilerplate looks like, so that you're not, you know, displeased during the interview. You can just have this. You know that you first of all you have the doc type, then you have the HTML. Inside the HTML, you have the head, then after the head, you have the body, all inside the HTML tag. So if you can memorize that, sure you won't have any problem. So the first thing you want to do is, okay, create your tags. Your tags. Remember I said these are attributes. This lang, in anytime you see something like this, maybe a name and a value or attribute and a value, they are all attributes. And they help to modify or alter the characteristics or property of an element. They help to modify, alter, or alter the characteristics of an element. So the first group of tags I would like to show you all is something called the H group tags, the H group. So in the H group, we have the H1, H2, H3, H4, H5 to H6. So they are used for creating headings. Those H group tags are used for creating headings. So we have the H1. So I'll just say hello world. Basically, this is the first thing we write when working with any programming language. Hello world. And please, hope no one has any issues so far. Please, you can call my attention if you have any issue.
Mine is not on this. Mine is I'm having an error message for installing the VS Code, but I'm still working on it. I'll go on with the class.
Okay. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, anyone else? Okay. Someone said I should come again on the first part where I generated the HTML boilerplate. Okay, I'm going to delete all this. I said, instead of memorizing this whole thing, you can just come here and write HT. Normally, if I was using something like maybe a crude text editor, let's say ordinary Notepad, not Notepad++, just ordinary Notepad, I will have to write this boilerplate myself, and which is time consuming. I have so many things to do, and you will not have time for that. So instead of writing it yourself, you can just come here and say HT. Then you can see if I wanted the regular HTML, I would have just clicked on this to just give me a regular HTML. If I wanted XHTML, I would just click on this. But what we are looking at here is HTML5. So I'll just click on this and it will give me what I want. Hope that's fine.
Is it that you
Hello?
saved? Did you save the file first before? Because
No,
I'm
no, no.
trying to type HTML and it's just bringing the plain HTML here.
No, it's not okay. In that case, okay, maybe I can give you a time to do this. Maybe it's the way you install the VS Code. But no problem anyway. No problem anyway. I can just give you time to copy this out. I can just give you time to copy this out. So all right, so can I go on?
Yes.
All right. So I said the first group of tags I would like to talk about are the H group. I said the H group are used for creating headings, and they span from H1, H2, H3, H4, H5 down to H6. Now, if you want to use that, all we need to do is opening tag H1. So I have my opening tag, I have my closing tag. So here I have hello world. Hello world. Now, for everything you do on your VS Code, you can see it's indicating one line or one change made. So you must always save. So you just say Ctrl S to save it so that you can see it on your browser. Now, another thing you should do is to have something called go live. Go live, so that once you click on this, it just fires up your browser. You should have this go live. So if you don't have it, you can come to this file to these extensions here. Click on this. So here you can download extensions that you want to work with. So you can just type live server. It's called live server. You can see the live server. This is it. So you just click on click on it to install it. You click on it to install it. So once it's done installing, you have it here like this. So if you have it already, all you need to do is just click on this. And one more thing, my title, I can say Fusion Varsity. You can name it anything you want, but I choose to name my own Fusion Varsity. So once you click on go live, you can see I have my hello world. Hope you can see this. Hope it's clear.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it's that simple. So I can come back to my page. So this for the H1. Then I can do the H2. I can say welcome to my coding class. And I'll save again. Everything I do, I must save, Control S. Then open my browser. You can see it's right there. So if you look at the top of see, okay. If you look at the top of this place, you can see Fusion.versity. You can see it. That is the title, document title. That is what I have here. You can see this. Then if you notice, you're having 127.0.01, and this is a local host, a local IP. So this is provided us because of my go live. So the go live makes use of something called a local host. It's more like a local server that exists within your system, within your laptop. So it's for development purposes. That's all, for development purpose. So if I was not using my if I was not using this live server, all I'm going to have is something called an absolute file path, showing me how the system was able to pick up the file from my C drive to the desktop, from the desktop to the folder and the current page, which is not so bad, but it's better to use the live server so that your job is quite easy. So the next thing we have is the H3. H3. So the H3 is also another H group class. So you can say it's going to be fun. Going to be fun. So all we are doing is creating elements with our tags. And you can see it's written here. It's going to be fun. Then go on to do my H4. Okay, so I've been able to use the age group tag from H1 to H6. So let's see what the output is. So this is the output. So who can tell me what you notice about how this H1 tag looks like? You can tell me something you notice.
Okay, the font is bigger than the font size is like bigger than the rest.
It gets smaller as we progress, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
That's the basic thing about the H group tag. The H1 is the biggest, followed by H2, followed by the H3, then gets smaller as we go to H4, H5, then H6 happens to be the smallest. That's how the H group tag works. Okay, now let's look at some attributes. Let's look at how some attributes work. There are other type of tags, but let's just go step by step so that I'm not rushing. Okay, so the first type of attribute I would like to show us is something called title. So yeah, I can say title. I can say salutation. Okay, let's see. Now, if you notice, once I hover around this first element, hello world, I have this something like a prompt saying salutation. Now, what this title does, this title attribute does, is to give me an idea about maybe what a particular line or particular element is talking about. So this hello world is saying hello to you. So I just put salutation. You can put anything there. You can put code is saying hello. Code is saying hello. And if you go back, that's what you're going to see. You can see code is saying hello. So that's what that particular attribute does. So another attribute we can have is something called okay, let me leave this. Something called align. So I can say align center. Align center. You can see this just changes the behavior of my element and pushes it from left down to the middle. From left down to the middle. So it's just a way of shifting my element to the center of the page. That's what the align center does. Okay, let me see if this will work. I think there's another one called DIR. Let me see, left to right. Let's see if this works. Okay, it's not giving me anything. Okay, good. Let me see. Okay, let me do right to left. Right. RTL. So this RTL means right to left. Let's see if this works. Okay. So you can see it shifts my element to the right hand side of the page. Shift my element to the right hand side of the page. I'll go back to it so that we can see it. So this is DIR, which means direction. DIR, which means direction. So this is RTL, meaning right to left. So to shift whatever I have to the right hand side of the page. The other one I did was left to right, so it did not have any effect. So this is it. In the same way, I could do, I think I can change it align center to align left or align right. So if I say align left, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. You can see it's back to where it used to be in the center before when I said align center. You can see it's back to the left hand side of the page when I said align left. Now, if I go back and say align right, you can see it is here on this right hand side of the page. So you can either use DIR direction or you can use align. Any one of them would work. Okay, so another type of tag I want to show you something called the marquee. The marquee. Now, this is how the marquee works. So I can have this H6 inside another tag. I can have H6 inside another tag. Hope there's no problem. Hope we're on the same page.
Yes, sir.
Okay, please let me know if there is any difficulty or any complication. It's what we are working on. Okay, so I can have my marquee. So I can have opening tag marquee. So I can take this closing tag and make sure that this H6, this can be done with any of the groups, H1 groups. So you can see, just the same way I have opening tag H6, closing tag H6, I have opening tag marquee, closing tag marquee. So if I go back to my page, you can see it's moving, just like what you see on your TV screen on the news belt. You can see it's moving. So it keeps moving from left to right or right to left, depending on how you want it to be. You can see it's moving continuously. So if I don't want it to be inside inside my H6, I could decide to make it be on its own. I can decide to allow it stand on its own. I can still have my marquee here. I can say we move. Say we move. You can see we move is moving. See? So so I could decide to say, I think there's an attribute called direction here. I can say left to right. Yes. Okay, I think I've done that wrongly. I think let me use okay. Oh, it's not having any effect. Okay, I'll figure out that later. I'll not change the direction, but basically this is how the marking works. But I'll figure out that later and I'll show it to you. Okay, so other type of tags we have something called the div, something called the div. So this just displays the content normally. It doesn't really have any effect on the content. It just displays the content. It's mostly referred to as an unsemantic tag because it does not really have any effect on the characteristics of the content. It just displays the content. So this is div. Some people call it division tag. So I can say, I can just write anything here. This is a div tag. It just displays the content. You can see, oh, misspelled this. So you can see this is a div tag. You can see it. This is a div tag. So now I'm going to show you another. I'm going to write another div tag. It's something I want to show you. I can see this is another div tag. So I think I have it here. Good. So let's just keep this here. Now, another thing I'm going to show you something called the span. The span tag. So if you notice, everything I'm doing here is being done inside the body. Please, you don't write any code outside the body. If you're going to display any content or create any element, it must be inside the body. Please don't forget that. So yeah, I'm going to call this span. So I can just say this is a span. Then I'm going to create another span. So I want to compare the span and the div. So I'm going to say, hope you are all on the same page. Hope there are no issues. Hello? Hope
Yeah,
there are no
sure.
issues.
No issues.
Okay, thank you. I just want to be sure. All right. So I'm going to say second span. Second span. So let's see what it looks like on the web page. Now, if you look at the first divs I created, now I said this is a div tag, another div tag. Now I said this is a span, second span. If you notice, The elements from the div are on two different lines, and the elements from the span are on the same line. Now, you might want to ask why. The reason is this. There are certain elements that we call block elements, and there are certain elements we call the inline elements. I repeat, there are certain elements we call the block elements. There are certain elements we call the inline elements. The div is used to display a block element. And why is it a block element? Because it takes up the line, the whole line or the whole space in which it is displayed on. You can see this is a div tag. It's taking this whole line. If I have to make them be on the same line, then I have to do some CSS jargons to tweak the structure of the page. But other than that, once I'm making use of a div, all I have are block elements. So they take up this whole space. This one takes up this whole space. Unlike the span that has the elements side by side each other. Unlike the span that has the elements side by side each other. You can see this. This is a span, second span, side by side. Now, if I want to alter this, all I need to do is just to add my break. Basically, when we get to CSS, we will see how we can, play with all these things using some CSS syntax or some CSS queries. So I have this is a span. Now this is called a break tag. This is a break tag. So what this break tag does, is to break the line. It's a line break. So if I come back here, you can see, unlike before when we had this is a span, a second span on the same line, we have them on different lines. So the more line breaks I have, the more spaces I have in between. Even here, I can have my line break. Sorry. It's that simple. See, I have lines in between. Okay. Now, this brings me to something. Now, tags can be divided into two. There's the container tag, and there's the other one. The container tag is the one that has opening and close. The container tag has opening and close. Like this div is a container tag. Everything we've talked about here is a container tag, except for this BR, this break. It's not a container tag. It has its name. I can't remember the name now, but it's not a container. So the tag is either a container tag or not a container tag. So these divs, yeah, are container tags because they have opening and closes. This BRO are more like standalone. These BRO are more like standalone tags. They don't have opening and close. Another tag that stands on its own that does not have opening and close is something called the HR tag. It's called not human resource. The HR is not human resource. The HR is horizontal. Horizontal. So HR tag. So it just draws a line across the page just to partition the page a bit. Hello. Think the connection timed out. Sorry about that.
That's fine. We're in Nigeria, sir.
Sorry about that. So sorry. So please, what was the last thing I said? So that I don't miss you.
We're talking about the HR tag that is not on human resources.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So okay. Let's see. Let's see what else. Okay. So there are other type of tags that we will encounter. Most of them are quite semantic because they have a kind of effect on how the I'm saying they are semantic because they have an effect on the kind of display we get on our web page. They have an effect on the content or on the elements. So this div is unsemantic because it doesn't really have any effect. So the first one I want to show us is the B tag. The B tag, which is referred to as the bold. So I can say this looks sharp. This looks sharp. Now, if you look at this, you can tell me something. You can tell me what they notice about what you notice about this B tag. Do you notice anything about this B tag compared to the div, compared to the H1? Do you notice anything about this B tag? Anyone?
So the B tag is for bold, so it makes it
Bold.
bright. What they call
Yes,
the
yes.
color deep, but the H tag only increases the size.
Okay, apart from that, what else do you notice about the B tag? Okay, if you remember, I was talking about the span tag, and I said the difference between the span and the div, or the span and the H1 is that, and the H group tag is that, while the H group tag and the div tags are provide you with block elements in the sense that when they're displayed on a particular line, they take up the whole space. Do you recall that? But the span, hello, you want to say something?
Yeah, the B tag, it's an inline block element.
Yeah, it's an inline element because it shares the same line with the span or with itself. So for me to prevent that, all I need to do is add a break. Very good. All I need to do is add a break. So you will find out that this shows on another different line. You can see it's showing on another different line. Okay, so in place of the B tag, you can use something called strong. Another tag called strong. So I can say strong, and I can say use me instead. Use me instead. Use me instead. You can see they give similar outputs. You see the output is similar. It's very bold looking elements. Okay. Now, another tag I would like to show is the mark tag. The mark tag. Now, for those of us who are religious or who have religious parents, if you notice, if you open some people's Bibles or some people's Quran, you will see maybe where they have strong statements like the Lord is my shepherd or something that has to do with kill all my enemies. They will just use their marker to mark that place, give it a kind of yellow markings or red markings or something. Now, if I want to do that here, I can use something called the mark tag. So I can say mark. I can say the Lord is my muzzle. Lord is my muscle. Dot dot dot. Yeah. Now you can see we have the mark over there. So I'll just add my break. So you can see the Lord is my muscle. So that is it. So another tag is something called the strike tag. Oh, there's something called address before I go to strike. Something called address. So this is just simply for writing an address. So I'll just say address. So I can just say 5A or 1, 2, 3A Obadina Estates. Only phase 1. So you can see this. This is and I can see the fonts are quite different. Then we also have something called the I tag. So the I tag is just for creating italics. You want to italicize. You want to italize your text to an element. You can just say this is it. So you can see it's very similar to the address. It bends uh, the text to the right, or shifts the text to the right. Okay. So I have the I tag. What other one? Which other one? Which other one? Okay. So we have something called the strike tag. Something called strike. So let's assume I have maybe a span carrying the price of something. So I can say price, I can say 5,000. Then let's assume this 5,000 happens to be the old price. I can decide to do this strike, sorry, strike, and I can put this 5,000 inside. And decide to have 5,000 here. I can have my space, span, or I can just have new price. I don't need to put a span. I can just say new price, 4,950. So if we run this, let's see. So you can see the price as old price, the new price, 4,950. I think you see this on all these e-commerce websites when they want to do giveaways or Black Friday or whatever they call it. You see these strike tags. They just strike out one thing and display another. So to do this, all we need is a strike tag. Okay. Uh, okay. Another tag I forgot to mention that is a block that provides us with the block element is the header tag. Not head as in H1 group, but something called header tag. So we'll be using this a lot. The header tag, the div and the span. We're using it a lot. So can just put so you can see it here. So just like the div, just displays the content. So there are some things that we refer to as the character entity. The character entity. So what the character entity does is helps us to display some kind of symbols that we cannot readily have from these our tags. So let's take, for instance, I want to display the euro sign. So I can have something called the ampersand, which is this ampersand euro. Yeah, there are many of them. So let's say ampersand euro. So I can have maybe 5,000. So I want to display 5,000 euro. And you can see 5,000 euro. Add my break here. Okay. So if I want to have my copyright sign, I want to have my copyright, I can have maybe in a div. I can just say ampersand copy. Ampersand copy, semicolon. And I have that's just here. You can see copyright symbol. Yeah, let me just show you one more. You can do your research for others, but there are countless number of them. I can have ampersand. Let me see what this cache looks like. Uh, so it's just character entities, that's all. No big deal. But you can see, it's no big deal. They're just character entities, just to display symbols easily, that's all. So, okay, let me do one more. I think there's character entity for greater than and less than. So I think there's LTG. Okay, I think this is the way it's written out now. Is that the right now? Let's okay, let me use this. See what it looks like. You can see less than, then they have the greater than. And create GR. Okay, let's see. Okay, so these are the various character entities that you can have. So that's just by the way. Now, there are times you might be working on your VS Code and you might not want to, display a particular element on um, on the web page. Maybe you just want to make a comment. To do that, to do that, you can just highlight on a particular element or on the series of elements that you don't want to display, then do control question mark. You can see it has commented all this. Now, where you can use this is if maybe you're working on something and you did something very complicated, so that you don't forget, you can decide to write out the steps on how you did it, so that the steps are not displayed on the web page or on the browser as elements or as content. You can just do this so that it's just looked upon as a plain text that does not need to be displayed on or doesn't need to be compiled by the program. So you can just do this. So how did I go about this? All you need to do is highlight, then control question mark, control question mark. That's all. Control and question mark together, and you have this. And if I should go back to my web page, I bet you won't see all this. You can see this is what you're seeing. Let's build our thing. But the other ones that precede this element, you won't find them on the page. So that is how to comment your codes. Okay, so another very important tag we have is something called the P tag. The P tag is called the paragraph tag. The paragraph tag. So yeah, there's something called the lorem text. So I'm going to be using that. So if you want to use a lorem text, you just have something called, just say lorem. Just say lorem. So you can see the moment I clicked on my lorem text, I have all these random text. I don't know what language this is, but I just need a random text. So this is my lorem. This is my lorem text. So for those who don't understand how I went about this, all I needed to do was just to come here and say lorem. So once you just click on lorem, it brings out this random text for you. Hope you are following.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So this is my paragraph tag, my P tag. So let's see what it looks like. You can see this is my paragraph tag. So it's just to display a paragraph. Now, if I don't want this text to be this way, all I need to do is use my break tag on each line. All I need to do is use my break tag on each line, and I'm good to go. Good to go. Yeah, see, I have it this way. All right, so that's for my paragraph tag. Then I have my pre tag, PRE, that's pre-formatting elements, referred to as pre-formatting elements. So I have my pre tag. I have my pre-tag. So I'm going to use the same lorem text here. I'm going to use the same lorem text. So the difference between this pre-tag and this lorem text, one significant difference is that this pre-tag will display this content the way I've arranged it here. Unlike my paragraph tag that required me to use a break for it to be displayed this way on the web page. But this only needs uh, uh, a prior arrangement like this. So if I decide to bring this one here, it's going to be like that on my web page, but I choose to do it this way. So if I go down here, you can see, and apart from that, it shifts to the right a bit compared to this. So we also have our button tag. So if I want to create a button, I can use my button tag. So I can just say click me, click me. See, that's for our button. We use the button tag. That's simple. Okay. So I've talked about the pre-button mark and the rest of it. So we also have another tag called the list. The list. So the list is typically used to itemize an element or set of elements. We use the list to itemize sets of elements. So we have two types of lists. We have the unordered lists. We have the unordered list and the ordered lists. Unordered list and the ordered list. But first, I'm going to show you how the ordered list looks like. So the ordered, as the name implies, ordered lists. So it means while you itemize using the ordered list, while you itemize elements using the ordered list, it gives the elements a kind of order in arrangement. So the order could be in terms of numbers, it could be in terms of alphabets also. So we have the ordered list to be declared as OL. So the ordered list has a parent element and children element. So the parent element of the ordered list is referred to as the OL. Then we have the children element with that, which are the LI. The LI. So I can have as many LIs as possible and have as many LIs as possible. So right here, I could just say sports or games. Games. Add two breaks. So I could have basketball, football, table tennis, lawn tennis, soccer, what else? Wait, oh, let me just copy. Sports instead. So you can see this here. The other list by default to add numbers. So I could decide to use some attributes. So there's an attribute called start. I think start and end, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not mistaken. So okay, let me just try this. I say start. Okay, so sorry, not start and end. Start type. Start and type. So I can say type 1, that is indicating that it's a number. Then start. I can say 100. So I want to count from 100. Yes, this is it. Work. You can see. So I've changed the order from 1, 2, 3 to 100, 101, 102, 103, 104. Hope you get that. So in the same way, I could change it to 1,000, each 1,000, and count from 1,000, 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004. It's that simple. Okay, so I could also change the order from numbers to alphabets. So I could say start A, then I could decide to make it lowercase. So these are the attributes start and type. So I'd say start A lowercase. So you can see it's in lowercase. I could decide to say start. Okay, let me see if I can start from B. It's going to work. Okay, yeah, that does not work for alphabets. I think that's only for numbers. So I could have A, and I decide to say, okay, I want this in uppercase. You can see it's in uppercase. Then I could decide to do Roman numerals. So I could decide to have I. Decide to have I, and I want my I to be in lowercase. You can see it's in lowercase. So I'm just playing with the order. As the name implies, ordered list. I'm just playing with the order of the elements I'm itemizing. So decide to have it in uppercase also. You can see it's in uppercase. I could decide to also have it in. Okay, let's see if I can change the order. Maybe starting from I. Let's see if it's going to work. Oh, that does not work for this. It only works for numbers, actual numbers. So that's it with ordered lists. So now we have the unordered lists. So the unordered list has its parent element. I repeat, it has its parent element to be UL. So as the name implies, unordered, that's U for unordered, L for lists. So we also have the Li to be the parents, the child element or children element is not parent. The UL is the parent, the Li are the children. So we do same thing here, sports, but this time using on other lists. The sports, so that same thing, basketball, let me use baseball, cricket, rugby, ice hockey, Paris. So on the other list, I think it's just on the unordered list. I think it's just straightforward. You don't have any attribute because you're not concerned about order. You don't care anything about order. You just want to itemize the elements. So right here we just have this. This has order. This does not have order. The only thing this has is bullet points of different kinds. You can use the image as a bullet point. By the time we get to CSS, we can modify this to any fashion we want. We can modify this to any fashion we want when we get to CSS. But we'll be using this one most of the time. So we also have another tag referred to as the blog quotes. So you can use this also if you want to display quotes. You can use the blog quotes. Sorry. add a break to this. So this is it. So at least I think now we've been able to talk about majority of all the tags that are available. There are more tags. There are more tags, but these are the very common ones. These are the very common ones. Now, if I want to write something that has, maybe if I want to write a text that has a subscript or a superscript. Now, if you remember, for those of us who did chemistry, want to write things like H2O, H2SO4, there's a way it's written, it makes use of subscript. If I want to do that here, all I need to use is, let's say I have my div. Let's say I have my div. And I want to write something like H2O. H2 0, that's H2O. Now, if I write this, if I'm doing something that has to do with water or chemistry or chemicals, if I write it this way, doesn't look nice. So I could decide to use something called SUB, a script called SUB, which is sub. So I can decide to take this 2 out of here and put this 2 here. Put this 2 in between the SUBs. And boom, I'll have my subscript. You can see H2O. I could decide to do more and write H2SO3. Whatever that means, I don't know, and don't ask me. So, okay, decide to do H2 S. Oh, that's 0, 3. And I have another sub. So you can see now this is looking like what you see in your chemistry textbook. So this is how to write subscripts. You see these 2 hanging below, these 3 hanging below. That's subscripts. So I can also do superscripts. I can also do superscripts. Like I want to write something like 25th. 25th. Now, I write it this way, but it's not proper, so I'll use my superscript SUB. And another SUP. Sorry, SUP and TH in between the SUP. Inside the div. It might not have to be inside the div, but I just for my own convenience, I choose to do this that way. So you can see. So I have my subscript, and th happens to be my superscript because it's hanging above superscript. Then this is hanging below subscript. It's that simple. Okay. So let me look through my slides. If there's anything skipped. Okay, so I think we are moving to the CSS right about now. Moving to the CSS. Okay, so let's talk about the CSS. So I think I'll use the same thing. I'm just introducing the CSS. I'm going to use this same material for the CSS. So CSS means cascading style sheets. Now before I continue, any questions, please? Any difficulties? Any problems? You can let me know. Any problems? Any difficulties? Any hiccups?
Okay, none from my end for now.
Okay. Okay. Any other person?
Good.
All right. All right. Okay. I'm happy to hear that. Okay. So CSS refers to as cascading style sheets. Cascading style sheets. So all you use CSS for is basically to style the page, just to style the page, add colors, maybe for positioning, measurements, but it's simply for the purpose of styling. So the version of CSS we'll be using in this course is CSS3, I think, which is the most recent anyway, using CSS3. So CSS can be categorized into two. CSS can be categorized into two. There's the inline CSS. Oh, did I say two? Sorry, three, not two. CSS can be categorized into three. There's the inline CSS, there is the internal CSS, and there's the external CSS. I repeat that. CSS can be categorized into three. There's the inline CSS, there is the internal CSS, and there is the external CSS. Now, the inline CSS makes use of an attribute called the style attributes. The inline CSS makes use of an attribute called the style attributes, and works like this. Okay, I'm going to take all these out. Yes, I don't need these ones for now. Take all these. Let me take these ones out. Just use it fresh.
Alma, let me pass my code. Thank you.
Vic was saying something yesterday that was saying that
Hello, are you talking to me? Please, if you
an exam.
please, you have to say anything that does not concern us here. Please, you can just mute your mic. Thank you. All right, so I'll just use my div. So I can say this is all about style. This is all about style. So I'm going to be using the CSS, the internal CSS. So for the internal CSS, I'm going to use the attribute called style. Style. Going to use attribute called style. So in the style, I'm going to have different properties that's going to change or alter the characteristics of this this content. So The first thing I'm going to use here is color. Color. I'm going to say white. Now, for every property that you utilize, you end that property by using a delimiter. So delimiter in the sense that you show that, okay, I have ended this statement or I've ended the use of this property or this statement. So delimiter is the semicolon. You can see color white. Then to end it, I use my semicolon. So if I use white here, obviously I'm not going to see anything because my page is white. So in the same way, sorry about this. In the same way, if I want to alter the color of my page, all I need to do is come to the body, which is the parent element of the whole content. I'll come to the body, which is parent tag for all other tags I'm going to be using in the content. So I'm going to say style. Don't forget what we're using is called the inline CSS. Let me write it here so I can see it. Inline CSS. Inline CSS. So what we are using is inline CSS. See, it has the attributes called style. You can see we use the style attributes. Attributes. So we use the style attributes. So right here, we are just going to say background color, background color, background color black. So this is another property called background color. So say background color, and decide to say black. And you can see our text is all about style. So I only went to change, I use my CSS to change the way the body looks. The body was showing plain white page before, and I used a plain white color for the font. So that the font is visible, I went back to change the color of the body. So I could take this back to what it used to be. I'm just showing you that this style attribute can be used anywhere in the body. So I can go back and change this to blue if I still want the body to be white. I can still change this to blue and changes nothing. See, works. So I could decide to give this text a background color also. So I can say background color. We're just playing with colors right now. Background color, I can say aqua. We're just playing with colors. You see? Decide to make this bigger also. I can decide to say font size. font size. Okay, let me just use this. I can say larger, I can say medium, I can say large, I can say extra small, I can say extra large, anyone. So let me just use larger. See, it's a bit bigger. If I don't want to use any of these larger, extra small, now there are certain units of measurements we have in CSS. Now we can use the pixels. If you don't want to use pixels, we can use percentage. You can use the EM. You can use the millimeter, and you can many of them like that. So depending on your choice, you can use the one that suits you best. So I can decide to use pixel. Like I say, 10 pixel. So pixel is written as px. You can see all the measurements: the pixel, percentage, cap, ch, centimeter, cqb, cqa, cqi, all kinds of dimensions. But what I use most is pixels, millimeter, and percentage. That's for me. So I can say 10 pixels. You can see it's smaller. I can use 10%. I can use 10%. Very small. So I can make use of, let's say 50%, or let's say 50 pixels, anyone you want to use. You can see it's bigger. And mind you, I could still use my marquee here. Just play around this. I can still use my marquee in this place, and it works just fine. Okay, let's see. And if I don't like this color, I can change it to white. Oh, this is the background color, so I can just come here. Say, okay, I want it to be white. It's up to you. Just play around it. No big deal. See, it works just fine. So, another CSS property I can use is I can say text shadow. Text shadow. Text shadow. So I'm going to give it a kind of dimension. Top left right, top left bottom, something like that. 2 pixel, 2 pixel, 2 pixel. Then I can give it a color to be white. So I want to give a shadow to my text. You can see if you look closely, it has a shadow, like a double stroke for each character. So you can see it. And again, mind you, if I decide to use the marquee outside of it, it gives me a different feel. If I decide to use the marquee outside of it, gives me a different feel. So this time, the whole element with the colors will be moving. You can see the different feel, because this time the marquee is outside, not inside. Okay, so that's just by the way. So thank you, Maki. I think we are done here, Maki. Okay, so I could say text align text align. So I could just say I can say justify right start, but let me just use center. I want it to be in the middle. So that's the basic things you should take. You can see it's in the middle. Text align. This is all about style. It's in the middle, directly in the middle. Okay. Okay. So I could decide to give this sort of padding. Now, there's something called padding in CSS. Now, padding is referred to as the space around an element. Padding is a space around an element. Okay, let me use something else to display this padding. I guess it's becoming so rowdy, so you can see each of the properties for themselves. Okay, so let me talk about padding. Color, white, so background color, English blue violet, right? Okay. Let me use the same fonts. Great. Okay. Oh, sorry. All right. So I think this is fine. Okay. Okay. So padding is referred to as a space around an element. The space around an element. So let's say I want to increase the space between this content padding and this left, the edge of this element is left, and I want to increase the space between padding and the top here, and padding and this content at the bottom here. All I need to do is come here and say padding. Now, padding can be done top, bottom, left, and right. So I can say padding left. I can say 10 pixels. Or generally, if I just say padding, it gives me the same measurement around top, left, bottom, right. So once I just say padding 10 pixels, gives me the same thing across board, top, left, right, bottom. So just gives me something general. But if I say padding left, let me increase this to 40 pixels. You can see there's a bit of space around this. If I increase this to, okay, let me say 40%. Let me use percentage because it is much more pronounced using percentage. If I say 40%, you can see somewhere around the center, around the middle. Now, that's for padding left. If I say padding top, if I give it 40% also, I have the same effect. Oh, too big. You can see how far from the top it gets. So I can see 10 pixel. You can see. So I can reduce it if I want to make it 5 pixel. Oh, 5%, sorry. See reduced, then you can see padding bottom. Padding bottom. I could say 5 pixel also. So you can see I have equal spaces up and down and 40% from the left. I can also do the same thing for the padding right, 40% also. So that is padding. So there's something called margin. That's for padding. So padding is the space around an element. There's something called margin. So margin can be defined as the space between two elements or the boundary line between two elements. Padding is the space around an element. Margin is the space or the boundary line between two different elements, two distinct elements. So I could decide to increase the margin between this guy here, this div, and this div. They are two different elements. So I can decide to come here and say margin bottom. And I can see 100 pixel. I think I misspelled margin, so it's supposed to be I. You can see there's much more space between these two guys. There's much more space between these two guys. So if I reduce it to maybe 30, see there will be a reduction in a space. Let's see, they're close again. So that is the thing about padding and margin. Please, any questions, please? Any questions, please? Okay, there's none.
None from my end.
Question from your end. Okay, let me hear.
No, I thought again, none from my end.
Oh, none from your end. Okay. Any other person? All right. So I could also do margin left. I've done margin bottom. I could do margin top, do margin left, do margin right. So if I want to do margin top, all I need to do is say margin top. And I can say maybe 50 pixel. You can see there's a space between this icons here and this guy. It wasn't like that before because of the margin top. So the space above and the elements below. So I could come here and say margin left. I could say 30 pixel. 30 pixel. You see, it's tilted away from the left a bit and moving towards the right. So I could come and increase it to, let's say, 60. And let's see the effect. It tilts further to the right. So keep shifting. You can see there's a space here. If I take this off, take this off. See, it's back to what it used to be. Now, remember I said that every element here are child elements or children elements. You understand? Because why? They are inside a parent element called the body. So it means by default, if this is a parent and this is a child, this will inherit everything that this parent has, except by some means, I choose to override the property of this guy. I repeat, remember I said this body is more like the parent element or the parent tag, and every other element or tag here are the children element or children tags. So it means that if this is a parent and this is a child, every property in this guy will be inherited by this guy. Or else, maybe by some means, I choose to override or alter what I have here by giving this one its own property. Let's take, for instance, I didn't put font style here. I didn't put font style here. If I put font style here, this will have its own font style. If I put font style here, this will have its own font style. But now I want to generalize. I can just come to the body and say style. Then I can say font style. So, okay, font family. Okay, let me use font style. I can say italic. Now, since this is the body and all these are inside the body, they will pick up the same property. So let's see. You can see they are all in italics. They have been italicized because their parent elements, which they are embedded in, as giving them its own property, a general property. But if I come here and say font style, let me say oblique. Let's see if this will be overriding. Okay, it did not override. Okay, let's see normal. Let's see normal. Okay, you can see this has been, the parent element property has been overridden by the property of the child. So that is how it works. So, but if I don't give this any property, it inherits from the parents. You can see it has gone back to being in italics. So that is how this thing works. Any question? Any question?
Nope.
Okay. So I can say font family. So there are different font families you can use. You can say so you can pick any one. It's up to you which one you want to use. I decided to use just Cambria. You can use any font family you want to use. But if you want to get better fonts, you can come here and install the Google Fonts extension. Google Fonts. Yeah, this is Google Fonts. So install Google Fonts. Maybe later I will show you how to use it, but let's just install it for now. So we already have it installed. So we'll use it later for now, but so that you can have better fonts experience, it's better to use Google Fonts. But other than that, I think we are good to go using what we have in our VS Code. Okay. So one more thing. Now, if you notice, these elements we have here are not touching the edge of, they're not touching the edge of they're not touching the edge of our page. So if I want to do that, it's a matter of playing with the margin. So I can come to the body. So just come to the body and say margin. Use the general margin, and I'll just say 0 pixel. 0 pixel. And I'll have that corrected. You can see it's now touching the end of the page. Oh, let me go back for those who did not get that. I said before now, we have our elements not touching the edge of our web page, not touching the edge of the body. So to fix that, all I need to do is just come to the body and say margin 0 pixel, 0 pixel, and that's all. So people can go as far as using something like -1. That's still okay, but 0 is okay. You don't need the minus. Let's use 0. So you can see it's touching the edge of the page. So basically, this is how you use your inline CSS. You are using the style attributes to display your properties. You are using the style attributes to display your properties. So I hope all is clear. I hope there are no gray areas. Hope there's no confusion. Please let me know your take on what we've done so far. Okay, so I guess we are on the same page, and I guess we are good to go. So this is for the inline CSS. So in the inline CSS, we use the style attributes, which we always display in our opening tag. Now, looking at the internal CSS. Now, in the internal CSS, we use a tag called the style tag. So in the internal CSS, in the internal CSS, we use the style tag. We use the style tag. Use the style tag. So the style tag is displayed in the head tag, in the head of our boilerplate. So here we just have the style tag. So you can see how this changes. It changes from being an attribute to a tag. In the inline, it's an attribute, but in the internal, it's a tag. Now, we will not just be displaying the attributes ordinarily. No, we are going to be using selectors. We're going to be using selectors. So can we use the selectors by tag name, or we can use the selectors by ID name or class name. We use the selector by tags, selector by ID name, or class name. So let me use this. Let me do this by tag name. Let me comment this. I want to comment this for a reason. So let's assume I want to tell my CSS to style this element here, but I want to select this element by the name of the tag used. So let's say I use the div. So I could decide to take all this paste it here. Take this out also. Okay. So the difference here is just that I'm not using the style tag. All I'm using here is my tag name. I'm not using the inline attribute, sorry. All I'm using here is my tag name, which is the div, and the properties inside. This delimiter, the semicolon, is important. If not, to assume that I have not ended this CSS query. So I have to end my query using the semicolon. Then I have my font tag, font family, and the margin. Sorry. div. Sorry, hope you're not confused. I'm just taking all these and dropping them here, that's all. So just take this. All right, so bring this here, add my semicolon, and bring this here. All right, now, so you can see everything I had here, I've taken it out and I've brought it here. Now, one good thing about the internal CSS is that it makes our code kind of readable and cleaner, unlike what I had here before. It was looking so boring, but you can see it looks as if nothing is even happening here when you look at it. So I just shifted everything here inside my style tag. So if I should run this still retains its property because I have selected this for styling using the tag name div inside my style tag. So whatever CSS properties I apply here will work, provided I have a div here. If I decide to comment this, like writing the control question mark, if I decide to comment this, we find out that this will just be back to, if someone is sending a chat. Okay, can I come again on internal CSS? All right. Okay. Okay, I said, unlike the inline CSS, whereby we use the style attributes and we have the CSS properties inside the style attributes. In the internal CSS, we move from using an attribute to the style tag, which is displayed inside the head, just above the title, inside the head. So if we have to make use of our internal CSS, we won't just come here and display properties anyhow. We will need to use a selector, something to select the elements that we want to start. So we can select either by using the tag name, which I've just done. The tag name is div. So I've gone over here to select using the tag name div. We can select also using something called an ID, and we can select also using something called a class name. So you can see there are 3 ways we can select: an ID name, a class name, or a tag name. But right now, I choose to use a tag name. We'll do the others later. I choose to use a tag name. You can see this. I choose to use a tag name. So let me take this off. Now, this is so cool because if I decide to use another div, and I say call me back, because these 2 guys share the same tag name. Because these 2 guys share the same tag name, this style will be applied to this element also. So let's see that. You can see I have 2 different elements sharing the same style. Because they have the same tag name. they're selected in the CSS using the same tag name. So it means whatever I do here affects this guy and affects this guy because they both have the same tag name. Is that understood? Is that understood? Please, I need an answer.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm safe. So if I come here and reduce the margin from the top to like let's say 20 pixel, and reduce the margin at the bottom to like 20 pixel. You can see it's affecting both elements. So I can come here, and another thing I can do here, this VS Code gives me the liberty to alter my colors, so I can alter the colors the way I want, make it darker, make it lighter, do whatever. So you can see the color code has changed. You can see it's looking different. So you can do whatever you want. It's very flexible. So now there's something else called, let me just add one more property to this. What do you call it? Okay, border. Yes, the border style. So border style, like I say, border style. So the different border styles here, groove, this, that. So I can say, let me use groove. I can say border width, and say thin. So you can use your pixels. You can say 6 pixel, depending on how thick you want it to be. But I choose to use thin. So you can say broad color. Color, you can say red, whatever color you want to use. You can see the way it's looking. So if I had said thick instead of thin, I bet you it's going to be the border which will be bigger. You can see. So it's up to you what you want to use. You can take it back to thin. Then you can see border radius. You can see border radius. You can see 2 millimeter. So what the border radius does is that it gives you this kind of curved edge, give you curved edges. See, so the more the radius. Sorry, did you say something? So if I made it 100%, you can see how curved it looks. If I made it 100 pixel, let's see what it looks like. So it's up to you what you can see curved edges. It's up to you. Up to you what you want. I use 360 pixels. Up to you. So the moment I decide to change this from div to maybe span, then I've broken the query, because since I'm selecting by tag name, it means this guy, this CSS tag will not have effect on this because this is not a div, this is a span. So let's go back. You can see it's just on its own. It is not taking part in the activity here because I've choose to select by something else. Okay, so I could decide to say, okay, I don't want to. Okay, you said what I have here in the body. Please, one more thing. I can decide to come here. Also in the body, I could just call the tag body. You just say body. I'm taking everything I have here and drop it here. So this still works. So instead of having everything here, I just have it all in my CSS, all in my internal CSS in the head. So you can see, it still works. So it means if I should come here and say background color, sky blue, it means the whole page will become sky blue. Simple. It's that straightforward. No stress, no hassles. So if you notice, our code is cleaner and I don't have to repeat myself, which is one of the fundamental rules of writing a clean code. We use the keys principle, which is keep it simple, or the drive principle, which means don't repeat yourself. I'll repeat that. Fundamentals of writing a clean code. We use the keys principle, which is keep it simple, or what we call the drive principle, don't repeat yourself. So you can see here, I've not repeated myself. So if I want to apply this style to this guy, all I need to do is just come here and say if. And what happens to this guy will happen to this guy. It's that simple. And
Sorry.
if I want to, yeah?
Yeah, do you want to throw little light on don't repeat yourself? I did not get the content.
Okay. If you notice with the way this body looks like, when I was doing my the inline CSS, you will notice that this my body looked so busy, so bulky. It was not readable. There were lots of things going on. But with the advent of this internal CSS, the code looks much more simpler and much more readable. In the sense that when I was in inline CSS, whatever I did here, I had to repeat here so that the same style could, be applied to this content or this element. But in this case, I don't need to do that. If I want to apply any style, any similar style to any of these elements, all I need to do is just give it the same tag name, div. And by so doing, I have the same design on it, the same style properties on it. In the same way, in the body, I don't need to come here and start doing writing all sorts, just to keep the code simple. All I need to do is just come up here and style the body. Simple. So here I just have my contents, nothing going on. Above, I have all the styles, all the CSS queries to the content. So you can see it's dry, it's simple, very readable. I don't have the style and the content being, jacked up in the same region. It's not readable. It doesn't look clean. Even if it works, it doesn't look clean. But anybody can come here and understand what I'm doing. Hope you get that.
Yes, Claire, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So if I want to be much more creative, I could decide to say, okay, I want to embed this div. I want to embed everything inside a div, all the divs inside a div. So I could just come here and say div. Come here, Control X, Control V. So let's see what happens. Oh, so all I need to do is just reduce, but it's looking like a design anyway. I'm just playing around. So all I need to do is just maybe reduce this and reduce this, and I have this inside. I could decide to say, okay, let me just say style, background color, and just give it orange or whatever. So you can see this. So it just allows you to play around much more easily. It allows you to play around. It just allows you to play around, that's all. So that's it. But if you notice, the same style that was applied to this and this was applied to the parent div here. You can see these are the children div, and these are the parent. This is the parent div. So just like having something embedded inside something, it just allows you to be very, very flexible. That's all. So, any question, any confusion, any gray areas? Any question, please? Okay, if there is none, so I guess I can just continue. Okay, so there was one very important tag that I did not mention. So something called the anchor tag or the link tag, anchor tag. So what the anchor tag does, it helps us to navigate from one page to another. So inside the anchor tag, there's an attribute called href. There's an attribute called href. So the href carries the hyperlink. So for us to display an hyperlink in a page, we use the anchor tag, a tag. So I can decide to say, okay, navigate. So I want to navigate to another page. So I want to link a page to this page. So all I need to do is just come here, create a new file. I can call it second. I'll just create the second page. Second page dot HTML. You also have a second page, so I can say HTML. So I just say second page. Second page. So I'll just come here and say this is my H2 tag. Let's see, welcome. Let's say welcome. So come back here. So all I need to do here is just write. I can write the name of maybe a web page that I want to navigate to, or I can write the name of the page on this file directory that I want to navigate to, or this folder. So I want to navigate to second page of HTML. All I need to just write second page .html. If I go back to this page, you can see navigate. So if you want to know if that link works, first, the color is always like this, blue, and it has a line underneath it. It has a line underneath it. So whenever you hover around it, you see the cursor in the hand. Then you also see below it, you see the link. So you are seeing the localhost IP, and the name of the page. So you are seeing this 127.0.1 some whatever slash second page.html. That's how you're going to see. So once you click on it, takes you to another page. You see welcome. And if I want to navigate back, basically you can just click here to take it back. But ideally there should be something that can take me back button, or an anchor tab also. So I can say href. So I can say go back, or I can just say back. So I'm going to say href, then say first, okay. So if I come here, you can see. So once I click on it, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So I can also have maybe I want to navigate to my email. I can say mail to Babatunde at gmail.com. So I can just put email. So once I navigate here, okay, I have my email showing there. So once I click on this, how do I want to open this? Okay. Asking me for okay. So let me click on it again. Let me click on it again. Okay. So it's asking me to do all the necessary settings. But truth be told, once I do all the necessary settings, it's going to take me straight to my email box straight. So you can try that. You can do all the settings on your own, but this should show. So all you need to do is just do your Outlook account and everything, and it will show. So that's for the anchor tag. So I think tomorrow we'll do more. Let's end it here. Let's stop here for now. Tomorrow we'll take more examples, we'll do more realistic things tomorrow. So we can stop here. So I said tomorrow, sorry, not tomorrow. And our class will be next week. Sorry. I was lost in time. So that will be next week, Monday. Next week, Monday.
Okay, only twice a week, right?
Yes, it's twice a week.
Mondays and Wednesdays.
Yes. So hope you gained something today.
Too much.
Too much. I'm happy. I'm happy to hear that. I'm motivated. In fact, this one a big ginger.
My eyeballs are paining me already.
Oh, sorry. That's the pay. That's the price you pay for knowledge.
That's true.
That's the price you pay. So I would like to give a little assignment just to keep your hands busy.
I know. What an interesting.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah.
I want to give a little assignment.
Okay.
Okay, so I want you to write a letter using HTML. You can add CSS to it. So you're going to arrange the letter. So you know your formal letter looks like now. Two addresses, the header, and everything. So I want you to just to give you something hands-on, just to make your hands dirty, make you more confident with this environment. So you're going to write a letter using HTML and CSS. So I want to see all the margin, the padding, and everything. Whatever you can do, you just play around it.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'll see that next week.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
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 Okay.